Hello everyone, it's DuckFaden07 and we are playing Domain Zoo. This time we are adding 4 of the new card from the new set called Invasion of Tarkir. This card deals 2 damage when it enters, but you can reveal dragons from your hand to deal extra damage for every dragon revealed this way. So we have 4 dragons actually in our deck, that is Scion of Draco, and this effect is kind of mediocre, but it is also very useful in a lot of situations. You can kill a 2, 3 toughness creature, but when you flip it, it becomes a 4/4 flying trampled dragon, which says whenever a dragon you control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. So this becomes a very powerful flyer with evasive fire that each attack deals 2 damage to any target, so you can ping a creature, you can ping it to face, whatever. So very quickly, it has a potential to very quickly um, get back those damage you invested in flipping it. So, for example, if your opponent is tapped out or out of cards in hand, or they're on 20 life and it's turn 4 and they had a lot of removal. So you will, in those situations and a lot more situations, you will go for the flip of this invasion to make it a 4/4 dragon. For example, you can go end of turn, double bolt, flip it, then on your turn it deals 6 damage to opponent's face. So basically, you didn't lose a single damage, it immediately got all the investment back, and it threatens to deal another 6 damage on the next turn. It can be pretty strong. It's a kind of additional burn spell you can play in this deck that sometimes deals 2 damage, sometimes it deals 3 damage if you have Son of Draco to reveal with it. And it's a kind of works similar to Bone Crusher Giant, but Bone Crusher, to cast Bone Crusher Giant, first, if your opponent can sizzle the Bone Crusher Giant by removing the target it's targeting, and you can lose the ability to cast the creature. That's the first one. And the second one, you have to pay 3 mana to cast this 4/3 creature, which is good, which is not bad. But we all know that true power lies in the potential to do something with no mana investment, and that is what this card does. So Nishoba Brawler, Territorial Kavu, they flip this card with a single attack. Treble Flames also flip it with a single shot. You can often just flip it as in 2 turns with Nakatal, Scion, bolts, whatever. So a lot of ways to trigger it with this many in deck that can trigger it in so many lot of ways and can deal lots of damage easily. So once this becomes a dragon, if you already have the Scion of the field, so you have this. Let's say you have the Scion of the field, and you have the invasion of the field, and you have Tribal Flames in hand. So immediately, if you Tribal Flames this invasion and attack, you immediately get the 2 damage from the Scion attack, which is great. They have to use removal to kill your 4/4 dragon, which they would usually use on Scion. So this means 4 more damage from the Scion next turn, and you're already 2 damage ahead. So you already you have to do a lot more math now once you have the invasion of Tarkir in the deck, and you have to kind of think and just do the math. How much damage will you get by flipping this, and how much damage will you do without flipping this? And it's often a close decision. Often you have to just decide on it, and you won't always decide make the best decision, of course. But I think this is very good card for the deck and has a good potential. I just played the league using this card and immediately did a 5-0 in the first try. I also would like to mention that today I streamed first time on Twitch for 4 hours with 2 brews, one of them being Sultai Crab Wine. That will end up, both brews will end up on my YouTube channel too, so you can check them out there too. I want also to say that you can, if you want to help the channel, if you like the gameplay, click like, click subscribe, comment on the video. and we will now go to the gameplay and see all the games. Uh, no new cards on the sideboard. Pretty much very similar to things you could see in the past. I think this one is perfect at the moment, and really like the looks of it. Want to ferry off because Rhinos is so popular currently, one of the most popular decks, and there is also a small resurgence of Living End. Minor misstep was very important to this league. You will see now. Okay, so let's go to the gameplay and check out all the games. This was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First game. Let's watch. Let's start with this one. Okay, playing a second, mulliganing to 6, keeping a good 6. I got the land on the bottom, a good hand, not needing more than 2 lands really. I got the third one immediately, which is okay. I was against burn on the draw, which can be really tricky. So I was on turn 2 playing Scion, and I was already on 8 life. So you can imagine this wasn't an easy game for me. So I went for the Ragavan dash, deal 6 damage to my opponent. Went to they get unfortunately had the blaze, which was a bit awkward. Put me on 7 life, so I didn't want to go for the strand here. I drew my stubborn denial, and that's why I decided to go for the fetch, so I can play my other scion while holding the stubborn denial. My opponent was on 10 right now, and I decided to counter this helix because it was the best card for them in this situation, putting me in the kill range and also putting them out of the bolt range next turn. So I went for the attacks, play my other scion, wait for them to do something, and then go for the bolt phase. And that was it. Game 1. Pretty amazing on the draw against Burn when I was on the 8 life, turn 2. My turn 2. So pretty good win. Shows that you must play. That one of these stubborn denials can really decide the game in your favor. Okay, again, one of the counter spells in Flusterstorm here. I have the bolt for the Goblin Guide, so I'm good. I decide to kill Guide immediately, but my opponent plays 2 more creatures, and I was kind of low on. It was kind of good hand, very good hand for my opponent. I killed one of the guides, but had to pay 3 life to do it. They still had 2 on the field, and I was already on 12 this time. Oh, sorry, already 9 turn 2. So last game I was on 8 turn 2. This game I was on 9, but my opponent had better finishers in this game, so I wasn't able to. I wasn't able to do much here. I just killed one of the creatures and hold the Flusterstorm for the Rift Bolt. So they got the 2 Rift Bolts. I let the first one resolve. I really had to counter the others, so I wasn't able to play the Nakatel and attack. Wasn't able to do anything almost, so I just went for the Flusterstorm on the Rift Bolt, and the opponent's head was just too aggressive in this game, and there was no chance of just dealing with all of this. And they also had 2 more creatures, which meant I'm going down on 2, blocking one of these, and that is still like okay. So I just play mine cattle, attack with cow for turn. My opponent is on 0 life, but top decks immediately lightning bolt. So that was the game. Let's go to the game 3 of match 1. Okay, so in this game, first time playing first. I started with the Raga one, turn 1 as my only threat. I had a good hand, a lot of burn spells. Flusterstorm, I decided to not to trade with Guide here. Raga one is just too good. In this situation, I had the Wild Cattle on top. So I was able to play the Wild Cattle, play the burn spell. got the skewer of their top, burned them 3 to face and played Minor Cuttle. Opponent goes for the Searing Blaze. I had multiple options here, but I decided it's best to go for the Nacatl so I can block the creature if they have it. And they put me on 3 life, but I had a lethal next turn with a double Nacatl and the Flames. So that was it. That was the GG. And yeah, okay, so that was match 1. We can now go to the match 2. Very quick games against Burn, as always, but shows you just have to go aggressive to win this one. And this one I started with the 4 lands, a Territorial Cabal, Stubborn Denial, and 1 Invasion of Tarkir. My opponent played first, started with Ketra Had no idea what I'm up against at this moment. Ketra yeah, they went for the Footfalls. I was playing second. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to cast Cabo here uh, because my opponent that then would be able to resolve the Footfalls. Immediately, I decided it's better to go for the turn 3 Cabo, hold back the Stubborn Denial to counter the Footfalls. My opponent didn't have the third land, so just went for Fire Ice. But still, it was the better play to just go for the Cabo on turn 3. My opponent plays Dispute on Ragavan. I'm very happy with that. Don't mind disputing the Ragavan. So I just go for the Lightning Bolt. Discard, sorry, Lightning Bolt, draw another card. I shock in with the Steam Vents, play the Scion so they can't kill my cow with the Rhino. I went for the invasion. I wanted to flip the invasion in this situation. So this is the first actual situation where flipping invasion is actually better than just attacking opponents. There are a lot of these situations through the game, but you saw that I just played the invasion of Tarkir. My opponent used the force of negation. So actually, I wanted to cast it before combat because my opponent was on 14 life, which means if I attack this now and cast the Stubborn Denial plus Leyline Binding on my turn, I will be able to just kill the Rhino token just by attacking with Scion and Dragon. And this means that in the if this game goes longer and eventually they have the Footfalls on the suspend, they have other cascade spells in hand, this could easily happen. And by resolving this dragon, they just I will put myself in the much harder situation if I don't have it, because obviously you can see they have ways to deal with this cow. So now I don't have first strike. They can trade with Rhino token, and they also can play another Footfalls from their hand. So I just went for it, but they had a force, so I changed my plan. I went for my opponent decides to double block the territorial Kavu. It doesn't work out for them. I play 2 more creatures, and this was too much for them. I had Leyland Binding to seal the match here, and that was it. So I think that was a first situation where in this league where attacking the invasion was better than attacking opponent to face. So a lot of people asking me like, when do you attack the invasion? Why would you attack it? Why don't go face? This is one of the many situations where you do this. So it will be there will be others, and we will try to follow this. Okay. So unfortunately with the Flooded Strand, I can't have Domain on 2, can't play the Scion, which I also don't really want because I want to hold the Flusterstorm to counter their spell, and didn't find the third land, so I would have to discard if they didn't play this Outburst. So this was really a big problem, definitely, but I have countered the first Rhinos, and I had the Hiritsugu to kill the second one if needed. Definitely just needed to find my land. No land here, so I was forced to go for the tribal flames, kill one of them. I got the third land, but it wasn't the land I needed to cast the Hiritsugu. So I had the stubborns, I had the Kavu, I had the bolts, but it wasn't enough. I still didn't have domain because my starting hand was Temple Garden plus fetch, which doesn't get me the full domain, and I got stuck on finding it and got prevented from playing the Draco, and I wasn't able to do much here. So they also got the Magus, which I then easily killed. I got the treasure I needed to go for the Hiritsugu next turn, but I was too low on life, so survived on one here. So I just played the Sacred Foundry, kill the existing Rhino token, but it wasn't a very good decision for me. Overall, my opponent discarded second Footfalls and played the Fury. Me on one life means I've died from almost any threat. So I just play the Nishoba and hold the Stubborn Denial when they try to resolve, if they try to resolve more Footfalls. Okay, they went for it. I actually kind of stabilized on one life here and countered the Rhinos again. So my opponent just had the Shardless Agent here. My Hiritsugu just got flipped, and I had multiple options here. I wasn't able to fetch anymore to get the full domain. So I decided to go for the Ragavan, hold back the Stubborn Denial, and risk dying to a Fury. So I really wanted to attack here. I think this was my only chance of trying to win this game by attacking in this situation and just risking them having the Fury while holding the Stubborn Denial. But they had the Fury to kill my vessel and deal me 2 last damage, so that was it. It really felt like I wasn't in a position to wait more turns for them to get the spell they need from the top. So I just went for it, and of course they had the card that wins them the game in only in that situation. So that was it. But game 3, I was starting first with a very good hand, similar to last one. But now I was playing first, so I was able to play Kawu on turn 2, which is obviously much better than playing it on turn 3. So went for dash Ragavan on 3, attack for 7, connected, played the Nishoba Brawler, and just was super aggressive here with two large creatures attacking. In this situation, got the Hiretsugu from top to basically seal the game. Had the Hiretsugu, opponent didn't have force to deny it, so I had a very good attack here. And also got the kill next turn with the Tribal Flames. I know my opponent doesn't have the force because they didn't cast it last turn. Of course, they go again for the Shardless. So I decide to go for the Ragavan here because with Ragavan this is a lethal attack with the Tribal Flames in hand. Also, they use the Dead Gone to kill Ragavan, but it's still the lethal if they block the way I want them to block, which is 1 damage passing from Nishoba Brawler attack. And the other block was just not good for them, so it was obvious they're going to do it like this. So I just finished the game with Tribal Flames, and that was it. That was game 2 against Rhinos. So we can move on to the match 3. Match 3, game 1, playing first this time. Very good hands, 2 bindings, denial, Kavu. That's mostly like similar to what you want to have every time, like maybe one more creature. So I went for the Triumph, find the full domain, play the Kavu on turn 2, Hold back two bindings and stubborn denial for next turn feels very good. Opponent goes with Val Cookbook. I really don't know what deck this is, but I have a lot of good cards in hand. So I just play another Kawu and hold two bindings. Also have Flames in hand to finish the game next turn. My opponent plays planes and with other Vial active and the Cookbook and pass the turn, not doing anything. So I just go for the attack first, do the double discard. I get rid from Ragavan, don't need it. Uh, also discarded the Stubborn Denial. It felt like also felt like not needed. I let them. I paid the mana tax for the Esper Sentinel. See, they go for the blocks, which was kind of expected. So I just play my other land and play the Sino Jaco. They had the Old Chase Daredevil, so they start making these tokens. They actually played the Academy Manufacturer and another Saga, and they had two cookbooks. They got the second one from the Saga trigger. So they had two cookbooks here. Got some treasures, got some food, got some clues. Also played the Asmo. I was able to kill one of my guys and pass the turn. I guess that was all they could do this turn. So I went for attack with Kau, still with my flames to hand, and got the double flames here. Also, my opponent was in Leonin Shikari. I don't know. I'm not sure why they play this. I'm still not sure what exactly did they play in their deck, but I've got to win. Didn't ever play against a deck playing Leonin Shikari. Okay, so starting game 2 with some sideboard cards. So in this matchup, you can see here how I sideboarded, removed two Ragavans, two Tarkirs from the main, also one Nishoba Brawler because and two Stubborn Denials, sorry. Got in some natural states, Tira Sunders, stuff like that. So okay, went for Bolt on the Manufacturer. Played my Scion on turn 3, hold the Denial, Binding and Flames in hand. Good cards. Okay, I go for the Scion, start my tempo here. So I find another red source so I can play everything. I can play the Flames, I can hold mana for Binding and also hold mana for Stubborn Denial. So pretty good hand. I can do whatever I want and have another Tribal Flames for lethal next turn. Okay, my opponent finds the drum, plays the Werther to try to kill my Scion, but I have the Stubborn Denial, which means I have lethal for the next turn. I also just played the Leyland Binding for the overkill, and that was it. Okay, so that was win in game 2, in game 3, so match 3, sorry, and we can now go watch the match 4. Okay, match 4, playing first again, 4 lands, Ragavan, a Scion, decided to lead with Ragavan. When I have when I have just one Scion like this, I usually start with Ragavan, try to connect, get the, I still got the Scion on turn 2. I got just another land from my opponent from the top of my deck, so I didn't have any choices but playing this Tribal Flames to face. I found a cow from the top of my deck and played another Tribal Flames, put my opponent on 1 life. they actually was able to put themselves to 4 life using the Solitude to exile the Ranger of Eos. Found the Kami of False Hope with the Ranger, so this way, unfortunately, Invasion of Tarkir um, wasn't instant, so I wasn't able to like uh, cast this on their turn and kill the Kami before they can prevent combat on my turn. But I was in a good situation here. Basically, I just needed to top deck any burn spell to finish the game, so it's pretty good. I could definitely continued attacking with the Kavu just to get the trigger, try to find the cards, and also really have to force them into sacking the Kami every turn to not let them get away without sacking Kami or something, so they can use other targets with their Biting Grace. Okay, they go for the Martyr here, revealing some cards from their hand, one of them being this guy, Progenitor, which is probably the reason why this deck got better currently. So I find another invasion, which means I play this, put my opponent down on 5 life, so I can top deck Tribal Flames for the kill. So this is one of the reasons, as I said, why this deck resurged lately and is very popular at the moment. My opponent again rebuy the Kami. I wasn't able to find my Graveyard Hate. I still continued attacking, forcing them to keep sacrificing Kami and also getting the territorial cow abilities. I wasn't able to get that burn spell I needed, but I got the second cow down so I can play more of these abilities. I already went through so much cards in the library and still got the 2 lands, so I went for the double cow attack again, cycling cards from my hand, finding just a lot of lands and some creatures. So just replayed my Son of Draco, sorry. With them having this incubator token, I was in the danger of them swinging back for the win. And finally, after like 10 draws from the cow, I find the Tribal Flames to finish the game, thanks to the Invasion of Tarkir, which was additional burn spell in this version and helped to bring my opponent down to below 5 life. If I hadn't, if this was like some creature, I wouldn't be able to win this game. So really having additional burn spell really helped me in a matchup like this. And having 12 burn spells in the deck feels like when playing this kind of game, you get opponent down low life, and sometimes you just can't get that burn spell to finish game. But now you have 12 of them, so this is another game won by Tribal Flames and Invasion of Tarkir, a burn plus another burn spell. So it was another game where this was decisive card, very impactful. Okay, didn't attack it this time. You see the difference. So I wanted to attack it, but I wasn't able because I had 2 Scions flipping. Imagine flipping both of these into 2 dragons, which say that whenever a dragon attacks, I deal 2 damage, and I already have 2 dragons, so it will be pretty crazy. And flipping this with the Tribal Flames would also be a way to win the game over Kami, because the damage triggers on the attack, so it's not a combat damage. And that was it. Okay, that was a very interesting game against this lately popular deck after the release of the new edition. Played against it several times already. Okay, that was just game 1. We now have to watch other 2 games. These games go pretty long every time. I decided to mulligan. The first hand kept a 5 cards hand with Ragavan, Nekatel, Invasion of Tarkir, Nishoba. My opponent started with the Squadron Hawk, very good at blocking Ragavan. had multiple of those, find multiple of those in their hand. I went for invasion in this situation, kill the Squadron Hawk, connect with Ragavan, play my Nakatel, of course. So my opponent got the Burrenton Forge Tender on the field, which prevented me from attacking with Ragavan, but they also played Wrath of God, which was very good here. Then I got back the Burrenton with Binding Grace. A Binding Grace, very good card. When built around properly, can be pretty good. I went tried to burn this invasion, but my opponent used the Burrenton Forge Tender to prevent me from doing this. So it was just a very bad situation. A very bad situation for me with not being able to flip the invasion. Although I have the lightning bolts, I just didn't have multiple. So they just counter my bolts for free. Bolts don't do anything in this matchup. I really needed my 4/4 flyer that deals 2 damage when attacks. That invasion of Tarkir would maybe win me this game if I was able to flip it. They got 2 Binding Graces this time. Well, I decided to go to discard Territorial Cowl because this Burrenton Force Tender really made those bolts don't do anything. And they now got the new card, the Berserker, also another payoff from the new set that made this deck alive again. This is actually old strategy, but got 2 very good cards from the new set, which made the deck a lot better. Okay, so still trying to flip the invasion, wasn't able to do it. I really wasn't able to fight the Burrenton Forge Tender and all other stuff in this game. So I tried, attacked for a few more turns. Nothing really helped, and that was basically it. So that was the game. A few more turns, 2 more turns of attacking, and that was it. I wasn't able to. My opponent got the third Abiding Grace, so that was the game. Okay, game 3 had very good hand. There is the cow, the 2 scions. I have the removal. I have the tear asunder. So kind of have everything I need. And my opponent starts with the Forge Tender again. But now when I have Scion, it's not such a big deal. You can see that in this matchup, Invasion is just feels incredibly powerful. It's very important if you can flip this. Basically, this opponent deck just can't kill it, and I have 2 Sino Dracos in hand, so it is pretty insane if it gets flipped. And you can also you also use it for 2 mana to kill a blocker to deal damage to face. So I immediately went for it. I'm not sure how this works. So every time I cast the invasion, my silent goes to the reveal zone. I think this is maybe a bug, but not sure if it's a bug or not. Okay, so I went for the 4 damage to invasion of Tarkir this turn. So planning to flip it next turn with a second invasion if I have the chance. So I can start dealing damage with my Scion when it attacks and killing this Squadron Hawk blockers. So you can again see that in a lot of these situations. Okay, so my opponent used the Forge Tender on my other invasion trigger, so I can't use I can use it, and now I again had again option to flip it with attack, but I wanted to rather flip it with a bolt from my hand than from the cow attack for 5. So I went to for phase this turn, but had my invasion on 1, and I was able to flip it now, and I got immediately 2 damage from the Scion, which means it was very high usage of this triggers from this card. I passed the turn with the 2 Tier Sunders in hand. I really want to hold those in case of opponent plays the Binding Grace. I also saw them play the Wrath of God, so I wanted to keep some of the threats in my hand. They went for the Binding Grace, so I had I played this well. I've made some good decisions, and again we had multiple options here. My opponent has Martyr of Sands on the field, which means they can gain a lot of life, and I won't be able to finish them off this turn. So I decided again to just trigger. To flip this dragon again, immediately do 2 damage. Immediately do 2 damage with this ability from this dragon, and this means they don't play a removal. Maybe they play some removal. They play March. So there are some options here, but my this dragon means I have 4 more damage on the next turn, and I played the Leyland Binding as a removal for the Kami, which means I have 12 damage with these 2 guys, and I got all the damage I invested in the invasion of Tarkir back. So again, you can see invasion of Tarkir being amazing in this matchup. This crazy dragon helping to kill all these small creatures as blockers, like against this Squadron Hawk. It was just really good here. Okay, so again, already 3-4 examples when this invasion was very good, and you could see just some very concrete examples of when do you flip the invasion and when you don't flip the invasion. So I think it's very clear to me when to do it and when not to do it, but you guess you have to kind of play some games with it to get it better. And but it's often very clear when you should do it and where you're not. If it's not clear to you, it will probably come to you after some game experience with it. And that was the game against this very cool deck. Or had very exciting games against it. Few times I played it, and so we will now watch the final game of the league, the trophy game, which I won. Playing first again at having decent hand, the Bolt Flames, Brawler, Binding, very good stuff. It was the Amulet of Vigor, Amulet Titan matchup. So I got the Leyland Binding here, and my opponent has the Gardens and the Vigors, which means I can't really play the Leyland Binding, and my opponent knows I have the Leyland Binding, so they decide against going for the Gardens. They really wanted to force me to cast the Binding and then try to copy the Amulet. That was the plan. But they were forced to kind of try to play something. They went for Explore, and that was my chance to just go the Binding here, remove the Amulet so they don't have a target to copy with these Gardens. And now I am untapped, and I have an option to start attacking with my creatures. And you know that this deck has such a good clock that I already played the Tribal Flames to face and put my opponent on 10 life. They just have untapped with 3 lands, no Amulet, and this means they have to concede. That was a very quick game 1. Just one Binding and Tribal Flames and 2 attacks with Brawler. That was the game. Okay, so playing second, definitely a bit harder. Let's check out the sideboard plane. This is the matchup where I boarded out some of the Lightning Bolt is not very good in this matchup, and also this means that Invasion of Tarkir is not also similar to Bolt. It's not good, and Ragavan is also not good. So I removed all these cards, brought in some Artifact Enchantment Hate. You can check the list, sideboard list, and compare it. I was able to Hold the Leyland Binding, play the Nishoba Brawler, and play the and hold the mana for Binding. Invasion of Tarkir, of course, as Bolt, it's never completely dead because it can always go face and it can sometimes clear the blocker. Unfortunately, opponent had the explosives to kill my Nishoba Brawler, which was my only threat at the moment. So they went for, they didn't have Amulet luckily, but they were able to play the Titan, find the two Valakuts. Two Valakus meant that they probably have the Dryad. So I just used mana to play the Tarkir, hold Binding plus State for their Dryad. They went for the Summoner's Pact, of course, find the Dryad, try to play it and win with it this turn, but I had the both Natural State and the Binding to get rid of both of these threats. So I killed the Dryad first to fizzle the Valakut triggers, and then in the beginning of combat exile the Titan. Of course, this binding is not greatest against Amulet because they play Boseiju and have ways to find Boseiju. But so I usually I play it on Titan only if it's only my only chance, and this situation definitely was. Again, my opponent has to pay for the Summoner's Pact, but as I mentioned before, they successfully found that one spell they needed to get rid of Binding, get back the Titan. So it was pretty good for them. They also was able to give Titan haste immediately, which they used to get another Boseiju to their hand. So basically, I had some more game here, but it wasn't really good position for me. So I just conceded this game. We can watch last game against Amulet Titan when I'm on the play. No much chance here with the Titan attacking and having another Flames to get back the Amulets. They had the Colossus next turn, and that was the game, the whole game. That was it. So, okay, so boarded in minor misstep. This matchup, there are a lot of the targets for minor misstep. Summoner's Pact being the most relevant, also Amulet, of course. And I didn't play a Scion because I holded the misstep. Then I played the Scion and decided to go to play both of my threats. They went for Boseiju. This meant I can find untapped source and also hold back the misstep. They played the Dryad and Valakut. It was okay. I had the Flames to get rid of Dryad. It's really important to kill the Dryad. And also got the Tira Sunder to get rid of the Urza Saga to slow them down. It was really good. And now I destroyed the land. I destroyed the Dryad, dealt with a few starting threats, and now I was able to start attacking with Wild Cattle, holding back the misstep and Stubborn Denial. They did another Boseiju, and this was really important. Misstep won me this game, so they went for Summoner's Pact. I didn't have a 4-power creature on the field, so I wasn't able to cast the Stubborn Denial, but Minor Misstep did a thing, and I was able to cast the Pact. It was just very good here. It's also good against Cascade decks. If you don't have the Kavu or Scion or Nishoba on the field, it still counters the spell. So I continued my attacking. I put my opponent to 11 life with Bolt in hand. This means I have lethal next turn. My opponent goes for another pact, and now I have the Stubborn Denial because I have found my Kavu. So I go for the Bolt end of turn and get the lethal immediately, and that was the game. A very fun league, very cool games. This was my first try with this league. I'm just very excited how good this invasion of Tarkir was. It was not good in the same matchups where Bolt is not good, but kind of you still don't want to cut all of them because you want to have that burn reach plan B. When your creature don't finish the job, you have to have some of these burn spells in the deck to finish the game, and it works very well. I'm just very excited by this card. It performed very well in this first league I played with it. I'm very happy, and that is it for this time. Once again, reminder to like, click, subscribe, leave the comment, and that's it for today. Goodbye.